The DMV Hoops Podcast.
This is Jonathan Scribner, head girls basketball coach at St. John's College High School, and this is the DMV Hoops Podcast.
Welcome to the DMV Hoops Podcast. We are live from DeMatha Catholic, the Capital Hoops Summer League at DeMatha. We're here in Hyattsville for day 3 of Summer League action, and I'm going to tell you right now, we've got a guest. I've called a bunch of games, and he's been on the floor for a lot of those games, none other than Mr. Steve Janoskie. Mr. Janoskie, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Well, we appreciate having you here. Now, look, I'm going to start by, well, first of all, let me tell these people about you. Commissioner of Board 12. You've done the WCAC Finals 14 times. Semifinals.
5 times, yeah.
The WCAC Finals 5 times. But I'm going to say 2 words to you, and I want to know what comes out of your mouth. Well, I'm going to say a few words before that. My old gym coach, Joe Marissy. What does that name mean to you?
Yeah, he's a legend, of course. I've had breakfast with him probably 3 weeks ago.
Right.
And he's doing well. He just turned 80 years old, and, he's from Blair High School.
He had me at Blair in the 80s.
He was the commissioner when I joined the board in 1986.
Okay.
And he did it for 38 years.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Well, it is your job now. It is your seat to sit in. Let's just talk about the fact that the game is faster than it was in 1986. And what changes have you seen in the game, and how are officials calling it differently these days? Or what are the biggest changes between 86 and today?
Well, in 86, it was all two-person refereeing.
Two-person crew, right.
And so much of it was inside play.
Right, okay.
And now it's dribble, drive, and dish out.
Right.
Shoot from the outside so much.
Right.
And so we have 3 persons covering it, and it's a much faster game. It's much more physical, I think, than it was at that time.
Uh-huh.
And it's just staying on top of the rules and making sure that everybody, it's a fair game between everybody.
It's got to be a nightmare. I want to see what your dry erase board looks like when you're trying to schedule all these officials. You got games in Alexandria. You got games in Waldorf. Your guys are going all over the place. What kind of mastermind do you have to put that together? How tough is that?
Well, it's really tough from our standpoint. We have 295 officials that work last year.
Good Lord. Okay.
Whoa. And we did over 4,000 scholastic games.
Goodness. Okay.
And that was from November 1st through, the state championships and all that. But during that time, it's on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I try to get the schedules out as far in advance as I can. Early in the season, it's a lot easier.
Right.
With 6 inclement weather days last year, it really, really caused a lot the that's for sure.
Right.
But, every day, you want to balance. You want to balance the officials' crew to make sure you get, because every day, all games are important.
Right, absolutely.
But there are some high-profile games that we want to make sure that the crew's on. And, a lot of our officials do college basketball.
I've seen that, yes.
And so if they get a college game, I might get bumped. And then so I have to pull somebody in and start moving things around on a daily basis.
I got a whistle, sir.
Oh, yeah. I only had to do 1 game last year.
Right.
And that was on Valentine's Day because so many officials had blocked their day off on that day. And then one of my officials called in right at the last second, and I happened to be near Paint Branch High School. I live right there. And so I went and did Paint Branch Richard Montgomery for my 1 varsity game last year.
You dusted off the whistle for that one?
That's right.
Adam, what you got?
Would I call you Steve? I'll call you Commish. How do I address you?
You can call me Steve.
I'll call you Steve. All right. Well, you're the first ref I ever met that I actually like. I'm going to be nice to this ref.
Wait a minute. You're going to be coaching in the fall and in the winter. Uh-oh. Don't try to butter him up.
Oh, yeah. You look great today, Steve. Real handsome dude. Hey, listen, did you say it was more physical today than it was in high school, 25 years ago?
35 years ago, more physical, yes.
More physical today?
Yes.
Really?
I think so. I think it is. Absolutely.
Oh, I'm surprised to hear
stuff
that.
like that. I think the college game was a lot different back then. I think the college was a lot more physical with Patrick Ewing and all those guys inside and things like that. But I think the high school game wasn't, because I just don't think it was allowed. I think it was a lot more closely called at that time, and there was a lot more zone defenses and things like that in high school.
That's interesting, because that's a great point, because I was thinking more physical. You think the NBA more physical back in, right?
You think
College, Big East, St. John's, Georgetown, more physical. But that's a very good point, because high school, you're saying it's more physical today than it was. So it's the opposite.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's so much more body contact, and the defense is so much quicker. They're so much quicker and can stay on top of people.
Right.
And the way people are coached and the way that they move their feet and things is so much more advanced than it was 25, 30 years ago.
Does that make it harder to officiate?
Oh, because you're only 50% of the time right.
Right.
Whichever side you're on.
Now, what do you do when I see a lot of guards? They imitate what they see in college, what they see in the NBA,
What do they see on video games?
what they see on video games, what they see on social media.
Sure.
So high school kids are, the old guard, when they come down, they're jerking their head, trying to draw that foul. Bigs are trying to do that too. They're trying to draw those fouls. How do you talk to your refs? What's the advice to the refs? What do you say to them?
We do have a new flopping rule in high school that we can call, and it is supposed to alleviate some of that head bobbing and things like that. I think that we go and we talk to the players and tell them, and you call it one time, they're going to stop it, because the next call is a technical foul.
Okay, all right.
So there
Makes
is
sense.
a way to do it. And, 10 years ago when I think Mello was in the WCAC,
Right.
he did the head bob quite a bit.
Right.
And I think that, but since then it's cut down, I think, a lot since over the last 10 years.
I'll tell you, you and your officials haven't suffered than you had it years ago. The voices in the stands are louder. Some of these folks think they know the game better than the coaches and the officials, those in the stands. I'll tell you, I coached years ago. I coached in the PVAC. I coached the Edmund Burke JV girls basketball team.
There you go.
That's where I started. And then I moved out to Langley and Churchill and all of that. Your officials always do a great job. Your officials are always, they have to have a threshold, because they'll hear from the coach, but there's only so much that they should have to take. Your officials are very well disciplined. Is that built into the DNA of your officials? I mean, they have to be able to withstand that, right?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons we're hurting for officials, is because so many officials, they want to do it. The younger officials want to do it, but it's not in their DNA, and they can't accept being yelled at, being, so much of this going against them and things like that.
Right.
I think that's one of the average age of our officials that do games is over 50 years old.
Okay.
I think it's in the mid-50s, to tell the truth, somewhere around that. And I think it's because of the younger officials. They may be in it for 2 or 3 years, and for a variety of reasons. But I think one of them is because of the fans, more so than coaches, I think, is the fans yelling at the officials and things like that.
Well, you didn't know the fans know the game better than the officials.
Oh, absolutely.
You didn't know.
Well, every time they come to me and they know it, I'll tell them, give them my card, and I'll say, come rough with us. We need people like you.
Right? If you can call it better than me, if you can call it better than the official, take my whistle, you do the job. I'll go home.
There you go.
Well, you guys have some tough games to call, and we appreciate everything you do. I haven't seen you that much because you weren't on the floor that much this year. But as you know, I'm behind the mic for all the St. John's games.
Absolutely.
Right? So we miss seeing you out there. But what do you got, Adam?
I was going to say, I coached 2 years in WCAC the past 2 years. I was struck by how respectful all the players are towards the refs.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not even sure I remember one incident in 2 years in a varsity game where a player gave a ref verbal attitude. I actually can't remember one incident.
You might have been at the wrong game. It might have happened. I don't know.
No, not
Commission
too
tells
much.
us.
We don't call too many technical fouls or anything on the players. They are very respectful, and I think the WC coaches should be commended for that, because they do an excellent job. And the IAC also, and the MAC, all the private schools do an excellent job with the players, toward the officials. They really don't say anything. And it's let the coaches talk to the officials. You guys play.
And I'm sure as an official, and as you may instruct your officials, you don't want to have to tee a kid up. You want them to be able to enjoy the game, play the game, and give the fans a great, I don't want to say show. It shouldn't be entertainment. It's scholastic sports. It's student athletes. But is that the goal of an official? You don't want to tee everybody up, right?
Absolutely not. Not at all. the last year 2 years ago was the last year I officiated, and I don't think I gave one technical foul to a player, but it wasn't toward me; it was toward another player about taunting each other.
Sure.
So it had nothing to do with them being disrespectful to me.
Okay.
So I think that most of the time, as long as the officials have control of the game and talk to the players. If you talk to the players, a lot of times they give you the same respect you give them. That's what I like to instill in my officials.
I'd love to hear what the referee or you are actually saying to the head coach, and the head coach is really kind of walking up to that line, but hasn't crossed it yet, but is about to cross that line. Getting a little too verbal with you. What do you go up to and say to that coach? Can you sort of give me exactly what you say specific?
It might not be exactly, but just
give me a flag.
In broad strokes.
Come on, Steve. Come on, ref.
No,
That's enough of that.
I hear what you're saying. Let's step back and get in your box, okay? And basically, a lot of times, still have my eyes on the floor,
right?
So people can't see me, and I might have my mouth, hand over my mouth, and just make sure that I hear him. And that we're, calling the same thing at both ends, that I like the calls that my other officials are making. And if you have a specific questions you want to ask me, I'll answer that question. But just don't, complain about every single call.
Right.
And we have some coaches, I'm not going to say in the WCC,
no, please.
but some coaches complain from the first call you make.
Right.
And that's easy to go there and say, Coach, every call's not wrong.
Right.
Every call's not wrong.
Some coaches, their players never fouled, right?
That's correct.
You know what? How do we feel about, we've got great coaches here. I'm sure you've heard by now, Coach Steve Turner's gone. He's at Mount Bird. And we got a new coach coming in, right?
Absolutely.
I don't say we because I'm a Gonzaga guy, but Ergov's coming in. And, how do you develop those relationships? I mean, we don't have guys here in the WCAC who are one and done. Steve was there 26 years.
Absolutely. I reffed Dick Myers, and I think I reffed Steve in high school when he was a player.
You might have did some Blair games for Steve.
when he was a player.
By the way, are you a D.C. guy?
No, I'm originally from Alabama.
I heard a southern accent.
Yes,
I can hear that accent.
And I went to, my dad worked for IBM, and then I moved up here and went to JMU.
Okay.
Oh, JMU. Okay.
Yes.
Only thing I know in Alabama, I visited a gal in Dothan, Alabama one time.
There you go.
That's all I know about Alabama. We can't keep him for long. He's got his eyes on the floor. Do you have anything to wrap up with?
I just want to say this was a fresh take. I really appreciate your time because this is all new, and we don't get this perspective maybe ever. And I think this is something that people need to hear more from.
Look, they need to, go ahead, please, sir.
Well, I was going to say, I appreciate y'all having me. And if anybody's listening that wants to be an official, please go to our website and, we'll reach out to you and we'll train you.
What website is that? Involved. Let's get them there.
It's IABO Board 12.
It's IAABO Board 12. So the reason why I love this game and why I prefer the women's game, let me ask you if this name means anything to you. Bill Lindsay.
Bill Lindsay's, yes, absolutely.
I was the manager for one of his teams in the 80s.
Oh, were you?
You know why? I just wanted to look at the girls. That's what I wanted to do. But that got me into the game of coaching girls basketball at Burke, at Trinity College, at Langley, Churchill, and Rockville High School. So you remember Bill Lindsay?
Absolutely, yes.
He's playing a lot of golf now. Of course, he's retired. And I expect that to be you.
We need to bring him back.
Well,
we need to bring him. These guys got to come back.
Yeah. No, Bill Lindsay was a great coach. That's for sure.
Yes. Well, look, Commish, we thank you for we thank you for being here. We're glad to have you on the show.
Absolutely.
38 years as an official, WCAC finals 5 times, WCAC semifinals 14 times. He's the commissioner of Board 12 IBO. You got to have some thick skin now. We want you for the long term. We don't want you for a year or two. But come on out. They'll train you. We'll get you out there. And this is the DMV Hoops Podcast. Thanks,
the DMV Hoops Podcast is hosted by Kirk Cross, featuring Adam Crain. Thanks for listening.